Welcome to week 9 of our study of English 101. Today we're going to cover the last two of the 8 parts of speech, conjunctions and interjections. And this will conclude our study of the 8 parts of speech. And after this week's study, you will be ready to take your final exam on week 10. So after today's study, I would encourage you to go back and review everything that we've covered up to this point, and that would prepare you for your final exam next week. We're going to first of all give our attention to conjunctions, and then we'll turn our attention later in our study to interjections. Conjunctions are words that connect words or phrases or clauses. Words that connect phrases, and just be reminded of the fact that a phrase is a group of related words that does not contain a subject and a verb. All of these that you see here are prepositional phrases. By the seashore, beneath the sky, from the city, after the meeting, into the building, over the rainbow. All of these are phrases, and a phrase is a group of related words that does not contain a subject and a verb. Clauses. A clause is a group of words that contains both a subject and a verb and is part of a sentence. And we learned last week that there are two different types of clauses. There's an independent clause that can stand alone as a sentence, and then there's a dependent clause that cannot stand alone as a sentence. Now, both types of clauses, independent and dependent clauses, contain a subject and a verb. Yet, the independent clause can stand alone as a sentence, whereas the dependent clause cannot stand alone as a sentence. Here are just some examples of independent clauses. The county will repair the roads. They are drawing up plans. They feel relieved. The day is getting closer. All of these are independent clauses because they stand alone. They have a subject and a verb, and they make perfectly good sense. They have a complete thought. Now, these are dependent clauses. They have a subject and a verb, but they cannot stand alone because they don't give a full sense of a sentence. When the finances are available. Well, you've got a subject, finances. You've got a verb, are, but it doesn't make a full statement. Now, if we combine that dependent clause with the independent clause across from it, the county will repair roads when the finances are available. Well, those are two clauses, one an independent clause and the other a dependent clause, but together they make a full sentence. The county will repair the roads when the finances are available. The second dependent clause, as quickly as they can. Well, again, we have a subject, they, and a verb, can, but it doesn't make sense. But when we combine it with the independent clause adjacent to it, they are drawing up plans as quickly as they can. Now, that makes a perfectly good sentence made up of an independent clause and a dependent clause. Look at the third example of the dependent clauses. Because the hurricane has passed. Well, we've got a subject, hurricane, and we've got a verb, has passed, but it doesn't make full sense. It doesn't convey a full thought. But when we combine it with the dependent clause to the left of it, they feel relieved because the hurricane has passed. Well, now we've got an independent clause and the dependent clause that makes up one sentence, but we have one that can stand alone, they feel relieved, and one that cannot stand alone because the hurricane has passed. And finally, look at the last dependent clause, when I can buy my own car. Well, we've got a subject, I, we have a verb, can buy, but it doesn't make full sense. But when we combine it with the other independent clause adjacent to it, the day is getting closer when I can buy my own car. Well, that's a perfectly good sentence that's made up of an independent clause and a dependent clause. So we need to remember that a phrase is a group of words that does not have a subject and a verb. A clause is a group of words that contains both a subject and a verb, and yet there is one of those types of clauses, the dependent clause, that cannot stand alone as a sentence, even though it does contain a subject and a verb. So now let's turn our attention to conjunctions. There are three different types of conjunctions. First of all, there are coordinating conjunctions. These conjunctions are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Now, if you'll take the first letter of each of those words, you can come up with an acrostic that will help you remember the coordinating conjunctions. And that acrostic is fanboys. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. So if you can remember fanboys as the acrostic, it will be a helpful tool to remember the 7 coordinating conjunctions. Now let's look at a few examples. A good laugh and a long sleep are the best cures. In this sentence, we have 2 noun clauses that are connected by the coordinating conjunction and. And in a coordinating conjunction is a conjunction that places together 2 equal statements. If you'll look, we've got a noun phrase on either side of the conjunction and. We've got a good laugh, which is a noun phrase, and a long sleep, which is a noun phrase, and they're connected by the coordinating conjunction and. So there are 2 equal parts that are being conjoined by this coordinating conjunction. Another example. Admire a little ship, but put your cargo in a big one. Now in this sentence, we're using the coordinating conjunction but. And on either side of the coordinating conjunction but, we have 2 independent clauses. Remember, an independent clause is a clause that can stand by itself as a sentence. So the first independent clause is, admire a little ship. It makes perfectly good sense by itself. And then the second independent clause, put your cargo in a big one. And again, makes perfectly good sense alone. And yet it's combined by the coordinating conjunction but, so we have 2 independent clauses on either side of the coordinating conjunction. So a coordinating conjunction combines 2 equal parts of the sentence. In the first example, 2 noun phrases. In the second example, 2 independent clauses. The second type of conjunction is the correlative conjunction. Now, like coordinating conjunctions, correlative conjunctions also connect grammatically equal elements. And the correlative conjunctions are either or, neither nor, not only but also, whether or, both and. The third type of conjunction is subordinating conjunctions. We want to introduce a subordinate clause with the main clause of the sentence. So subordinating clauses are seen in the list here: after, as if, even though, in order that, rather than, so that, though, when, and while, although, because, if, once, since, than, unless, where, as, before, that, until, and whether. Now, when we look at this chart, we can see that there's a relationship expressed using a subordinating conjunction. If the relationship is time, for example, the subordinating conjunctions are after, before, once, since, until, when, whenever, while. All of those subordinating conjunctions show the relationship of time. Then we have the relationship of reason or cause. And the subordinating conjunctions are as, because, since. Then we have the relationship of result or effect, in order that, so that, that. The relationship of condition, if, even if, provided that, unless. Then the relationship of contrast, although, even though, whereas. The relationship of location, where and wherever. And the relationship of choice, than or whether. So subordinating conjunctions are used to introduce a subordinate clause and indicate the relationship of the clause to the rest of the sentence. Now look at the sentence. The concert was canceled because the lead singer was sick. So in this sentence, the subordinating conjunction because is showing reason or cause. Why was the concert canceled? Because the lead singer was sick. We can reverse that, and we can say put the phrases in reverse order and say because the lead singer was sick, the concert was canceled. Now, note a couple of differences here. In the first sentence, the concert was canceled because the lead singer was sick. We've got two clauses that are combined with the word because. The concert was canceled because the lead singer was sick. There's no comma in that because it's just a flowing sentence that doesn't need a break. But in the second sentence, where we have reversed the order and we've put the causal subordinating conjunction first in the sentence, then we have to put a comma after that clause. Because the lead singer was sick, the concert was canceled. You can almost hear the pause that I put in that sentence. And the first sentence, the concert was canceled because the lead singer was sick. There's no pause in that. But to say it as it's written in the second sentence, because the lead singer was sick, the concert was canceled. You can hear the pause as I read that sentence. Another example. Many people made their way to the game even though the roads were covered with ice. So again, we have a subordinating conjunction, even though, and even though is showing contrast, that the people did something even though of something else. So it's showing a contrast between the two clauses. And again, if we reverse the order of those, we see the difference that it makes in reading it. Even though the roads were covered with ice, many people made their way to the game. So again, we're saying exactly the same thing, But because of the way it's worded now, with the subordinating conjunction coming at the beginning of the sentence, it's going to call for a comma after that clause. Even though the roads were covered with ice, many people made their way to the game. So subordinating conjunctions show a relationship of time, reason or cause, result or effect, condition, contrast, location, or choice. Now let's just look at a few examples and try to determine what this conjunction is in these sentences. Now, I'm going to put sentences up one at a time, and we're going to put a W if it joins words, a P if the conjunction joins phrases, an S if the conjunction joins sentences, or a D if the conjunction introduces a dependent clause. First example, Reggie loves hamburgers and hot dogs. Then in this sentence, we've got the conjunction and. And the conjunction is joining two different things, hamburgers, hot dogs. So, in this sentence, the conjunction and is joining two words. So we would put the W because it is joining words, hamburgers and hot dogs. We went fishing, but we caught no fish. So what is the conjunction but joining in this sentence? It's joining two sentences. We went fishing is a sentence. We caught no fish is a sentence. They both make sense by themselves. They are independent clauses. So the conjunction but here is joining two sentences. We went fishing. We caught no fish. Should we put it on the plate or in a separate bowl? What is the conjunction in this sentence? Conjunction is the word or. Should we put it on the plate or in a separate bowl? Now, this conjunction or is joining phrases. It's joining the prepositional phrase on the plate and the prepositional phrase in a separate bowl. So in this sentence, the conjunction or is put between two phrases, joining two phrases. In this sentence, we see the conjunction both and. And when we look at both and, we're looking at a conjunction that is tying two things together. And in this sentence, it happens to be two persons, Joseph and Jamie. Both Joseph and Jamie bought skateboards with their Christmas money. So this conjunction, both and, is combining two words, joining two words, Joseph and Jamie. Neither Sam nor I bought tickets to the concert. Now, the conjunction is neither nor. Neither nor bought tickets to the concert. And it's joining two words, Sam, I. Neither Sam nor I bought tickets to the concert. So the conjunction, neither nor, is joining two words, Sam and I. Tammy will not have much of a social life as long as she never leaves her house. What is the conjunction in this sentence? The conjunction is as long as. Tammy will not have much of a social life as long as she never leaves her house. So this conjunction, as long as, is joining two dependent clauses. Tammy will not have much of a social life. She never leaves her house. It's joining two dependent clauses. We looked in the parking lot where Martha lost her phone. The conjunction here is the word where, and again is introducing a dependent clause. We looked in the parking lot where Martha lost her phone. So, where is the conjunction introducing the dependent clause where Martha lost her phone? Lewis quit his job because he was bored. Because is the conjunction, and it again is introducing a dependent clause. He was bored. Lewis quit his job because he was bored. So, all of these are conjunctions, and they are joining words or phrases or sentences or introducing a dependent clause. I hope this little exercise has helped you get it fixed in your mind as to how the different conjunctions are being used in these sentences. Now, just by way of review, there are three types of conjunctions. Coordinating junctions, and remember the acrostic fanboys. Coordinating conjunctions join items of equal rank. Correlative conjunctions always come in pairs, and they also join items of equal rank. Subordinating clauses introduce subordinate clauses. Subordinate clauses are dependent clauses. So, these are the three types of conjunctions and the way the conjunctions are used in sentences. Let's give our attention now for just a few minutes to the subject of interjections. Interjections are probably the easiest of the 8 parts of speech, and really there are no rules pertaining to interjections, which makes them more easily understood than any of the other parts of speech. And we just always need to remember that we need to be in good taste when we use interjections. An interjection is a word that's simply used to express a strong or a sudden emotion. Wow! Oh! Hooray! Oh my! Ouch! Hey! Help! Watch out! All of these are interjections that are expressing a strong emotion or a sudden emotion. And there's so many others, so many words that can be used as interjections, and we use them quite often in spoken language, and we also use them quite often when we're writing things in which we really want to show that strong or sudden emotion. Now, when used alone, an interjection is usually punctuated by an exclamation point. Wow, that was a great catch. Hooray, we won the gold ribbon. But now, as a part of a sentence, or when the interjection is more mild, a comma can often be used after the interjection. Oh, I wish you had been here. Yikes, that's a mean-looking dog. They're a little less emotive than the ones that are emotionally charged. And it's according to how we're using it in the sentence that will determine if it is going to be followed by an exclamation point or simply a comma. Now here are just a few examples of interjections and how they might be used. Hey, move out of the way. Oh my, that was a wonderful surprise. Good. You finished the exam on time. Indeed, this is not the first time politician has been less than honest. Yes, I did see that beautiful sunrise. So these words are just interjections. They're showing strong emotion. They're just filled with emotive power. They're expressing a strong sentiment. And there are other interjections that aren't even words. They're just more or less sounds. Ah, don't you enjoy a quiet evening walk? Mmm, these cookies are so good. I already knew that. So interjections, they add flavor to our sentences. They show emotion. They are very strong, expressive words, and they're fun to use. So just remember how important interjections are in making your communication, whether it be verbal or written, have much more intensity when intensity is a necessity. Now that brings to a conclusion our study of conjunctions and interjections. So what are we going to do on week 10? Well, next week we're going to be having a final exam, and really that's all we're going to be doing next week. I want you to have plenty of time to focus on studying. I want you to go back and review all the 8 parts of speech, and you'll be taking a final exam next week, and hopefully you will all do well on it. I know that you will. You've been doing very, very well on your assignments, and I appreciate that. So next week, if you'll just go back and review all of the 8 parts of speech, and next week you'll be having a quiz, a final exam, probably about 50 questions or so, and it's mainly going to be identifying the 8 parts of speech. And if you'll just go back and review them, I know you will do extremely well. I've enjoyed being with you this quarter, and I know we've got another week before the quarter is over, but I look forward to having you back in 102, English 102 next quarter. And thank you so much for all your hard work, and I'll look forward to being with you again then. God bless you. Have a great week, and we'll get back together next week for our final exam.